Ladies and gentlemen, it's always good to be in Bodden town. And I've been with some stalwart Bodden town representatives, politicians over the years. But I'm always pleased, since starting this campaign, to be on the platform with Stafford Berry and Robert Bodden. Ladies and gentlemen, you don't have to search. You shouldn't by now have to think, well, who's the best out of the lot in Bodden town that you want to vote for. By now, I would think that you know. You don't have to listen long to know that you have two educated, able, capable, willing men in Robert Bodden and Stafford Berry. I want to say before, and Robert talked a bit about education, and so did Stafford, and I want to talk about it as well. But they asked us, you're only running two people. And I'll just say briefly that we thought it best if you see some independents that you can work with, that you give them an opportunity. And since Mr. Eden and I have been associated for many, many years, and we've gotten along, although we've been on opposite sides, he did leave the PPM behind. He did say, "Get thee behind me, Satan!" And he left them. And he's a capable, able, honest man. And so him and his colleague, Mr. Suku, we said we'd offer them our support by not running against them. But we understand that they're trying to make some hay out of that. No, we don't have candidates in their district, therefore people that we can influence, can talk to, we can tell them. These gentlemen will work with us. They are independents. I believe they are true independents. And we can work with them. So, and it's the same in Georgetown Central with Mr. Bryan, and it's the same in Prospect. You don't have to look and wonder if those are elected that we could work with them. We can. They are, I believe, true independents. But we in Bodden Town East and Bodden Town West have two capable men that you can put your confidence in, can put your trust in. They have been in good jobs where it takes intelligence to run and to work. And so you ought to give them your vote. And you ought to go out and tell people, tell your neighbors, tell your family, put aside any kind of feeling. This is a serious election. And don't fool yourself about this split up. It's all a plan. It's all a plan. And we are already so divided. You vote for the East, Robert Bodden, and for the West, Stafford Berry. We will work together for your benefit. I have been around long enough to know who is who today. I've been around the whole of it to know who really cares about people. And that's what I got elected for. You see, when they was preaching and telling you, oh, don't support McKeeva because he only studied in West Bay, Well, if all of them had studied in their areas, you would be better off. I am elected to take care of the people that elected me, but I do look out for people that I believe needs care and attention no matter where they come from. In town, we got 5 capable men and women. Tess is a capable woman. Jonathan is a capable man who worked in the finance industry, who ran the Department of Commerce under my government and did an extremely great job in helping people and moving the country along. Mike Adams was a minister with me, but he served long years before that, for many years, 40 years I believe, Cayman Airways, at a time when it was a political football, and we took it and we said, enough, we're going to tell what good it is to the country. And then we got an audit done on it, which showed how many millions of dollars, instead of the 20 million that we're giving it, it's bringing in more like $300 million to this economy. And Mike Adams came in, well, they moved him, if you remember. And they are so vindictive. That's why they don't deserve to govern. And you, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to put them out. Don't worry about my 33 years. I've done something. Some of them been there, and what have they done? Yeah, kept the seat warm. Kept the seat warm. Mike Adams came in the government and he cared. And he worked with us. You hear Kurt get up there talking about his government. He's not going to more government now. And not one house in 4 years. Not one house for people. Then you tell me they care? When people are sleeping in their cars and going to the beach bathroom to bed, and on the floor and on people's sofa, coming to us to see if we can help them buy a bed and a mattress, and they're talking about needs assessment. If they're assessing needs, you can believe one thing, it must be a very small amount, because the needs are great in this country. They cut the budget. Ozzy will tell you they didn't cut it, but poor Ozzy. Alden saw him long road and see not going to more help ministry. And now he up there telling people up in the East that I'm running Jamaican politics. What kind of donkey foolishness that is? Ladies and gentlemen, they said that for many years, that I had Siaga, they said. That's what they were saying a couple of elections ago. I said, me? I won 8 elections. Siaga lost 4 or 5. I don't need it. Now with this new system, we have to be careful. We have to get technical advice, because they're gone cut up the district when I was at my weakest and couldn't stop it. But I can tell you, many people today, and I don't know about you, but many people believe that the wrong thing has been done to this country. So, Mike Adams, 90-something houses. 97 houses. At the worst time of my administration, when the governor was peeping in and hiding behind the door and lying and carrying on and trying to stop us, we still did things for people. 97. PPM, nada. Nada, and that's what you should do with them. Not one seat for the PPM. Not one. Keep them out. Dunstan Tibbetts, capable man that has served the country through the Lions Club and various boards, and must have been served on nearly every board that government had over the years. That man gave his life to public service through government and NGOs also. He deserves a chance. And what What a gift to us if Alden would even find himself one vote behind him. One vote. But you can see to it. Let us go into Red Bay. And decide to send him home packing. Send him home. Perlina is a young lady that knows about the needs of people. She's enthusiastic. She is well trained, well educated. We deserve to give her a chance. Jonathan Piercy knows what it means also. If you remember, none of them were born with silver spoons. None. They know. And that's why I cared to be with them. Because I have always cared. I knew what it meant not to get the education that I wanted, which was to be a lawyer or a teacher. Couldn't do it in the prejudice system of this country. Turned us out, saying I had no more space. But I know what it means to go to bed, not hungry, but wanting more. A little bit selfish sometimes, see? But I knew what it was to go to school barefoot and without clothes. And when some of my colleagues today and my peers today were going with a dressed up, with a necktie even at that point, or a bow tie, white shirt and black pants, I was wearing my khaki pants from school to Sunday school. So I know, and that's why I empathize with the people in this country that some people seem to look down their nose at. And don't tell me they don't do it. You can see it coming out of them. They don't care. And that's why, ladies and gentlemen, when you come to West Bay, I still give them a run for their money. I hear them, but they got a queen. A queen what? Queen conch? Queen what? I ain't scared of them. They tried it before and we whipped them soundly and sent them home. And the poor Minister of Education got lost. And now she's saying that she got the South wrapped up. And I say, that's where we're going to send her, South. That's where she is, South. On all the issues. Education is most important, ladies and gentlemen. And within our first 100 days, we are going to make some serious changes that needs to be done. The education system in the Cayman Islands has forever been a political football. They changed it up, and my son, 3 times they changed the system when he was in high school. An A-level student, a student, 3 times that year in late 87, around there, 88. And while Mr. Truman has done a lot, he made some huge mistakes, ladies and gentlemen. And so we're still here talking about education. Roy Bodden made great strides. So this election season is really no different than all that I've seen. We're still talking about changing the system when we only getting 20% of all that is graduated to send abroad for tertiary level education. Ladies and gentlemen, they want to talk about statistics. That's a poor one. How in the world we're going to cope with a changing world when we're only sending 20%? And no vocational, no VOTEC. And so we got to stop kicking it around and do something. And my team is keen to focus on improving our education system in a unique manner And so there are several things that we want to do, and I speak from a policy level at this point. We have to define the education system, and I mean really define the system, clearly identify the difference between public and private education, and commit to the new agenda with private schools. We have to identify the key risks to our children not learning and not meeting their potential. And we propose a game-changing approach to the management of our schools. Propose a formal streaming approach for children who are at extreme risk of failing out of the system. And produce a skills-based unit which will recommend priority areas of study for super funding in the technical, vocational, and academic spheres of education. For far too long, ladies and gentlemen, it's getting late, but bear with me. The education system has been defined as the Ministry of Education, and it is the Department of Education and schools and children. But let's be honest, that's also the way blame has been laid for the gaps in the learning outcomes in our growing number of students. And I think about it, my friends, our children are at the bottom of the pile, and there is no mention of families and parents or guardians. And so our party defines the education system as our homes, where our children live, our schools, where our children receive formal education, our teachers who impart the formal instruction, our schools who manage our teachers and support them, and the Ministry of Education who will set policy and then ensure that the Chief Education Officer supports our schools in implementing these policies. So let me summarize the education system as this then. It is the children in the context of their family, the teachers as the formal agents of knowledge, our schools, and for the Ministry of Education, including the Department of Education. It does not mean huge buildings that do not work. If we don't define the education system properly, how can we address the issues? We are committed to many areas, changes in order to improve our system of education. So let's talk a minute about our children. We will place our children in the context of their families at the core of the education system. Everything we do for education must be in support of our children reaching their maximum potential. As teachers, schools, the ministry, and the cabinet, we must not lose focus on the fact that everything we do must be centered on the progression and development of your children. As government, we will ensure that, one, every child will have a formally documented education plan for each academic year, which will be signed off by the children, their parents or guardians, their teachers or tutors, and the principal. And two, all parents will formally sign a commitment letter to the school to support their child by ensuring all homework and extension work is completed at home, by attending every parent-teacher conference, by supporting and attending the Parent-Teacher Association as much as possible, and properly reporting any learning or behavioral issues identified at home to the teacher or the tutor to ensure that the school knows and can plan according to being able to assist each child in the context of the needs of their families. A learning support team must be established with all relevant stakeholders at the earliest sign a child may not reach their education potential for some reason. And so these will be similar to the program we call the BEST, established by former Minister of Education during our term as Premier, my term as Premier, our last government from 2009 to 2012. And so, on a side note, ladies and gentlemen, this is just yet another area that the current minister has failed. She has failed to follow through with this policy and expand it the way we had envisaged. And those learning support teams that I'm talking about will do just that. And so let me use an example of how a learning support team will work. And so let us say that your little boy or girl is struggling to complete homework at home or is being defiant to their parents. This will be reported to the school, and immediately a case conference could be called with the parents to understand the reasons and the issues. If, for example, it is noted that they are refusing to take action, then the school understands what is happening. Every family placed on the educationally at-risk register will be monitored by the school, and an annual report filed with the ministry to ensure that corrective action is taken should parents and their students not be holding up the commitments they made. Parents, is our parental responsibility. We have to live up to the commitments we make and to any such plan that government will support with the schools. We must support our children, and we cannot continue to deny the fact that as parents, we made the children, and legally they are responsible for them until they are the age of majority. Just think of it. Parents come to my door, 8 o'clock in the morning, with an 8-year-old and say, take him, he's your responsibility, not mine, I voted for you, I can't handle him. Ladies and gentlemen, you and I well know that should never happen. What? What are they thinking about? Should never happen. For our children with extreme behavioral and emotional issues, we must roll out programs geared specifically to them. And under our government, we employed Mr. Michael Biles. He was brought in to be the critical advocate and link for those children at risk. As the previous manager of the Bonaventure Home for Boys, he was well placed to take on that task. But under the current minister, he was so frustrated that he was forced to leave. Yet another good Caymanian teacher, civil servant, leaves the system because of frustration, because he was not getting the support required to make an impact in these most vulnerable children's lives. Yeah, Tara Rivers can talk about she got his South wrapped up, but she's really South. Past Kigoda, you know where that is? We either invest, ladies and gentlemen, early and intervene, or see them end up in the criminal justice system and cost the country millions in Northwood Prison. This government in particular has failed miserably in that area, and they are contributing to the future social problems of this country by not doing what they're supposed to do. The Stepping Stones program, started by the minister, has been a miserable failure from all reports. At-risk children are falling out at alarming rates and ending up still being involved in antisocial behavior, and they're not able to track them. She talks about what she has done. She's done a lot. Done so poorly that they at times don't have paper in the school, don't have toilet tissue in the school, don't have hand toweling in the school, don't have copper paper in the school. And now you tell me that any one of you here should vote for any minister or colleague up here in this town who supported her? Don't even talk about her little old $6 hour. Depend on that, you might not be able to pay your light bill. Teachers, ladies and gentlemen, are an integral part of any education system. And I have seen over the years how teachers have been paid no mind except to criticize them, and particularly criticize the foreign ones because they can't vote. You know that you listen to them. You listen to them. They've been very selective about who they criticize because they don't have a vote. But they are our teachers. They teach our children. We cannot believe that we can continue to castigate and tear down teachers in front of our children and expect them to be successful. Equally, we must hold teachers to account, as their responsibility to our children is great. I've seen teachers who taught for 40-odd years in this country die because of financial problems. No help from government. We managed to get them something like $400 or $300 a month. They were not on pension. And they said, oh, well, they got a gratuity back in the 70s. A gratuity? 70s, 80s? A gratuity, bonus or whatever they wanted to call it. How much was that? $300, $400? What's the value of that 5 years ago, much less today? No, ladies and gentlemen, we cannot expect our children to learn from that kind of arena, from that kind of atmosphere, of that kind of environment, because people are human. So our government will create a best practice approach to recruiting the very best teachers. Can't wait till September when school open and expect to get teachers. Teachers are a shortage worldwide, and teachers from the Caribbean are going all over. People from England and other Commonwealth countries are getting jobs all over the world. But these fool people with all kind of degrees behind their name wait until school nearly going to start and then tell you they're going to go get teachers. What they get is the what left. We going to honor the teaching profession by way of proper pay and community recognition to ensure that they can have the best possible standard of living. Our teachers should not be living close to the poverty line. Many capable persons do not enter or they exit the teaching profession because of the compensation. And one of our pledges for the first 10 to 100 days is to take care of our elderly and to ensure that we look at the teachers' package and start to pay them accordingly. So, ladies and gentlemen, we will encourage businesses too to come up with specific teacher and education professional discount programs as a way for us to honor those persons and let them know their worth to us. Ladies and gentlemen, I beg you, no matter how much you get aggravated and frustrated because your child has a problem, do not try to take it out on the teacher without sitting down properly, and don't do it in front of our children. Hold every teacher accountable to the national standards for teachers which was introduced under our government. Support our teachers with the best tools for modern teaching and learning. And we will work towards having an interactive whiteboard in every classroom within the public system. I know I'm going on a little bit, but it is education I'm talking about, and I do have a few more points to make. So give me your time. I know you got to work tomorrow as well. Our principals needs to have budgetary control for their schools. How can we say in 2017 that we will hold principals accountable, then we do not vest them with the real authority to run their schools? Ladies and gentlemen, we have to ensure that principals have a stronger voice in the recruitment, dismissal of any teacher at their school, and ensure also that there are safeguards so that advantage is not taken of any teacher. And we have to ensure that the minister establishes proper school targets which the principals will be held accountable for. And we have to establish a school pride focus. We used to do it when we was in primary school way back then. And we kept the schools clean. And we learned something from it. Ladies and gentlemen, the Ministry of Education and all the ministers are charged with the constitutional responsibility to create policy. It is critical to ensure that a minister's policy are carried out by their respective agency within their ministry. In the case of education, there's a lot of bureaucracy that was created, and now we have to deal with it. For a country our size, there has often been a challenge to how policy find its way to schools in the shape or form once it had gone through the department. We know there has been a long-standing problem of the ministry developing a specific policy, but the department sending a very different message to schools. And so that is fundamentally flawed. It has come high time for all of education to be under one roof and operating seamlessly. No more these silos where the department is there and this another unit is there and the next unit is over there. And so who suffers? Our children. Time, ladies and gentlemen, for that to change. Too much red tape in this country at all levels. Check it out. You want to see paper that government sends out. We need to focus on cutting the red tape. Ladies and gentlemen, we have to do, and I'll close with this, several more points. Implement a reception through year 12 character education curriculum. And this is found to have life-altering results in the lives of students and increase academic performance. Update and fulfill implementations of the 2012-2017 National Strategic Plan for Education. Development of a national PTA as a vehicle for engagement, increased participation, and enhanced accountability to parents and other key stakeholders. And we will invite leaders of industry and business to sit on that body. And we must open our system up to enhance interaction and accountability. Ladies and gentlemen, we have to enhance support to education for children with extreme learning disabilities. We believe a contractual arrangement, for instance with Hope Academy, could be formed to deliver these services. We do have to complete the new John Gray High School using a more traditional building method, and we have to enhance and expand Passport to Success, yet another program started when we was premier. And she talks about it, she didn't disband it, but not once would she say that that was started under our government. Oh no, she won't make the world believe that the glass house was built by her. And we have to integrate a national adult training initiative underpinned by Career Radio 101 or some similar program. Continue to reform of teaching of math and English by team teaching, year or group, or hiring specialty teachers for these two subjects at the primary level. We have to pay more attention and do the necessary program work. And even if you look at some of the schools, the renovation work for primary schools, they're so wicked that and they wanted to come back with this surplus that they claim they got. Down in West Bay, when I go to do my checks, all the front of the building is painted, the eaves, EU boards. But when you go inside, the place is all marked up, nothing done. And they think they could fool people because teachers, most parents just drive up and pick up the children and gone. That's how they care about you, doing a facade. But that's just them. That's how they are. That's how they live. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have a lot to do, and I will certainly stop at this point. I wanted to get into the technical and vocational studies, but I'll tell you this. We do not need to build $10, $12, $20 million building for teaching of trades. We can do that at the community level with the private sector. The same Michael Miles could oversee this for us and cost us less. Cost us less. So we will utilize the schools that are empty every night by community programs that will enhance trades and other programs, of course. And so, ladies and gentlemen, what I have been talking about is a new way forward for education, but it has to be done. The CDP is committed to a modern education system. When I went to meetings in Singapore, of course, they cost me for that. But I had to go there for the OECD to take us off the gray list that Alden left us on. May the 24th, God's willing, we will move forward, and in our first 10 to 100 days, the new education plan will immediately start to be implemented. We can't fool around anymore, ladies and gentlemen. That has to be our priority, and two priorities, main ones, is to take care of I'll make it three main ones at this point. Take care of our elderly. We can't give them no $510, $550 anymore. We have to give them at least $1,000. We have to. And we can manage it. And that's seamen, veterans, and handicapped and other persons in need. But we have to do it, and it's a part of our policy. Mortgages that are failing, government must put up some upfront money and try to look at we can't look at all of them, we don't know how many it is, but it's much more than they're saying, and take the worst cases and try to save people's homes. And then we'll have to sit down with the banks or lending institutions and work with them. But I'll tell them this, we have a development bank, and if they don't do it, we will find the ways and means. Because people, this foolishness, and I'll say foolishness, but it's past that, ladies and gentlemen, where you pay your mortgage for 15 years, and they end up selling it for less than its value, you get nothing and still end up owing them. And for $10, $15, $20,000 that you might not have been able, for some reason or another, and we lose our families' homes. Children are pushed out. Ladies and gentlemen, Mark Watcher and Alden and the rest of them, I tell you that is not a priority, and government can't do anything about it, and it's not their fault. No. Let's say it's not their fault, but they know the problem. And you elect them to do what? Fix the problem. And what they do? Alden go in Bodden and dress up like a mosquito. And carry on, jump up and down. And if I jump up and down, you hear McKeeva without misbehaving. I love to dance, but I ain't dressed up like no mosquito. And my pastor knows it, and my God knows it, and my wife rubs a little bit, but we've been together for 2 years, so she knows. Married for 42 years, and I haven't left my family. Ladies and gentlemen, and that one, number 3, but they're the top 3, education. Education, education, education. When I go to Singapore, and I see what they have done, and there was a small country like us, about the same size, nothing but a swamp. They were a swamp, but they had to build something out of nothing. And we have come a long ways, ladies and gentlemen. With all our faults and all our problems, our country has come a long way, but we have drifted back under this government. And for far too long, and even in my government there were missteps. Not that I didn't try, but there were people who didn't want me to succeed. Them that went against me, cut my throat and thought I was going to die. And now, well, they're still my friends, don't get me wrong, but the man to vote in the East is Robert Bodden. That is who is CDP. Don't forget it. Robert Bodden. We have no other pack. If we had any, we would not have had a candidate, but we got a candidate. And I'm open and I am transparent. I'm telling you, that's who our candidate is. And the rest, Stafford Berry. So you have a choice, my dear friends. You have a choice. I ask you, I hope you take these things tonight and do what Jesus told Mary. Ponder it in your heart. You know what I've been saying is the truth. You know that. I don't talk no lies. This is your future, your children's future. By God, ladies and gentlemen, let's make the change. Let's do what I've said you've been doing. We are like the Israelites coming out of Egypt. We know that the Egyptians are behind us. But we are pushing forward, going forward. We know the Red Sea is there. It is there, but God is going to part it. Where there is a way, God will make a way for us. So I say, amen.